For game number 1 today, as I said, it's going to be France versus Thailand. So let's take a look at both of those squads. Neil, tell me a little bit about France and Thailand.
France are just one of the absolute better than all the other powerhouses. I think France and Germany may be the 2 strongest teams. These guys, on top of the support network they have around them as well, are just basically the best. They recently had one qualifier for Germany where all 4 seats went to French players, just on the same night, and they are just getting it done. Thailand, they've had their own community for a little while. Very powerful community, and slowly but surely getting better with another of the Vipers. There's 3 Vipers in this tournament.
And I think that's a lot of snakes.
That is a lot of snakes.
That's quite scary. But yeah, you need these opportunities and you need these tournaments to see some of these players that are maybe less known to actually have the chance to rise through the ranks. And it's why I really appreciate this format and the chance that players who had the most HCT points were able to be put into a position to be voted. Not necessarily favourite streamers, but we do now see just the best players turning up to the Hearthstone Global Game. So that is going to be very exciting. Do you have a favourite, just before we look at what actual decks have been selected and the picks and the bans, you thinking more France?
I mean, France are just good.
Okay.
And they've also got a point to prove because none of us picked them, and they were quite upset about that. And
were they?
Kind of rightly so, but I just picked good teams, and it's your fault, you guys, for picking the rubbish teams.
I mean, my team's still doing all right. That's all I say. Are they actually genuinely upset that we don't?
Yeah, they're a little annoyed.
I'm sorry, France. Next year, I'll pick you. Let's have a look at the picks and the bans then and see what's happened so far with the picks and who is going to be playing what. A very important phase, the banning phase, as Warrior and Shaman disappear first, Lorinda.
Yeah, that's pretty weird when you first look at it, but this Warrior was actually Odd Warrior, so maybe they just didn't want anything to do with it. Shudderwock going is something we're seeing more and more often now. Shudderwock Shaman, just a deck that as teams are getting to play it better and better, nobody wants to have anything to do with it. The weird thing for me is that Druid didn't get banned at all in this match.
Yeah, it's not the Malygos Druid for either player, and I feel like that's maybe the reason why when you're going up against Big Druid or Taunt Druid, you feel like you have a better chance, perhaps. But just going back to the Odd Warrior ban, and if we think about the interview with, was it Stanodachi yesterday, where he was saying it's actually really difficult going up against a team that's brought something a little bit off meta because it's slightly unpredictable, you wouldn't have practiced against it as much, and maybe that's why we're seeing bans that are more inclined towards teams that are bringing stuff that's a little bit different.
And that's also why we're seeing teams that are bringing a little bit different. But of course, all the picks and bans could be for nothing depending on how you match up in the next phase of the game. So let's have a look at exactly how they've done this, and we'll have another look in just a moment.
But the matchup, yeah, of course, it's very important. You really want to try and get those win percentages in your favour. But, I mean, you can kind of just say, well, yeah, okay, we've got statistics. We might lose this game, we win this game. But sometimes you just got to go with your gut, and you've just got to trust the fact that you've brought good decks, and you're going to be able to get 3 wins in this format.
And what people are trying to do to avoid this format, as in, again, let's have another look at how it comes up now, is they're trying to bring all aggro, all control or something. There's just not enough decks that are all aggro, all control. And as you see here from the matchup, actually Thailand, for me at least, Dan, looking like they're in a decent spot when you scan down that list.
Yeah, I'd say I agree with you. When you do scan down that list, naturally you are watching at home and you're saying, oh, we've got 2 mirrors. We've got Druid mirror. We've got a Paladin mirror.
Nope.
Yeah, slightly different. It's a Taunt Druid and a Big Druid, which I guess are quite similar. There's just a few key changes. Bright-Eyed Scout is going to make a big impact, for example. But most importantly, I really hope we get to that game 4 because it's even Paladin versus odd Paladin. And we can speak for a wealth of time about that later on if we do see that matchup, I'm sure, because that's going to be an exciting one, because even Paladin, of course, fell out of favour when there was the nerf to Call to Arms. But we can discuss Big Druid versus Taunt Druid, I feel, because that is going to be match number 1.
Yeah, and basically do the same thing, except Big Druid tries to keep it coming and the Taunt Druid tries to just bring it all back. I mean, that's a really basic way of putting it, but they're both ramping up, as with any Druid these days. And, hey, who can get Oak Heart seems to be kind of important.
This is the thing. It's I would have it as a very, very, very minor favourite for the Big Druid. It is so even because the decks are so similar. They both have Hadronox. They can both bring back those Taunt minions. However, if Bright-Eyed Scout goes in to Oak Heart, and you get Oakheart on 5, you've probably won the game.
You probably have.
That being said, on the other side, for Taunt Druid or for either really team, you can get Wild Growth into Nourish and then suddenly Oakheart on, turn 7 or 6, whatever stupid nonsense Druid are able to do nowadays, and then you probably win the matchup. But you do have the ability to just put things in the way with both of these decks, so we could well be on for quite a long matchup if it does just become a little bit of a slog with taunts getting in the way of taunts, and then trades become difficult, and then you try and buff up those minions that are on the board. But I'm excited for this one, Neil. I'm excited for some Bright-Eyed Scout action.
Just see what it picks and get on with it, yeah, I guess.
If it turns up.
Be interesting today as well to see which players are a bit tired.
Okay.
Yesterday was the end of the month.
It was.
People were trying to get finishes. Some of them already had their finishes sorted. Some of them, you know, were able to take the month off. Some of them were battling it out until the last thing this morning. There was an incredible race for Rank 1 Legend on NA last night. Yeah,
and absolutely. And I think everyone knows that if you are a player who's trying to get anywhere in Hearthstone, you need those top 50 ladder finishes. You want to try and achieve any sort of points to get to those playoffs. So we know how important last night was, and you're completely right. If they were trying, they might be a little bit sleepy today.
Woo, woo, woo. So that's the Oakheart alarm just going off.
But that's... What, is that a thing?
What, the Oakheart alarm?
The Oakheart alarm. Is that something you... Is that how you wake up every...
Woo, woo, woo.
Wait, what, you sound like...
That's another one. That's not me.
You sound like a train that has got a fire alarm on it.
I mean, that's basically what Oakheart does.
Yeah, it is a train.
Basically, you just launch your train of mana, and then the alarm goes off, and everybody runs.
And it delivers a carriage of minions.
Yeah, and your opponent leaves.
And they probably should, yeah, without buying a ticket. In most cases, but there is going to be an Oakheart on both sides. However, the key fact being for Thailand, they have that greedy sprite, they have Nourish, they have another Nourish, they've got all that ramp to try and get to Oakheart first.
And this is so important for France, this game, because the lineup hasn't worked out in their favour, particularly in terms of the matchups. And so if they go 1-0 down, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. Of course, both teams are 1-1 in the tournament. 1-2 when you've got to go 4-2 is not necessarily the best spot to be in. In fact, it's definitely not the best spot to be in.
No, best
pick me up on these things.
Best spot would be 3-0.
That's how that works. So plenty of Nourishers, but like you say, the greedy sprite, it's not going to get killed most likely. There's no reason for Windello to take it down, but it's going to be there. Oh.
That changes things.
Yeah.
Or does it? I mean, you can kill off your own greedy spike with a spellstone if you want, but that spellstone could come in handy later on for dealing 6 damage to a minion.
Just like Wild Growth here, and then Nourish the next turn, and then coin into Oakheart pretty soon after that.
And then that branching paths being in hand is really important as well for Thailand, to be able to buff up the minions that are on the board before there is an answer from France.
This hand is insane because they haven't drawn any of the clutter. Sometimes you get your Oakheart, but your hand is full of dragon hatches and stuff anyway, and it's not quite as ridiculous as it's sometimes made out to be. But this hand, Oakheart's just going to do his thing.
Yeah, Dizdai is just having a little chat with his team. Actually, a lot of listening, it would seem. If you are new to the Global Games format, of course, there are 4 players on a team. They are usually all in some sort of call to talk with each other. I don't think we've ever seen a team where a player plays on their own. I think usually they're always in a call, right?
Yeah, we've memed it once or twice,
yeah,
like Radu. But actually the Romanian team is particularly strong this year compared to what people think it is. But yeah, actually they are always together. Sometimes one player is missing due to the intense schedule that is modern-day Hearthstone for the very top players. But, like you say, we've never seen just someone turn up.
Modern-day Hearthstone. You make yourself so well old when you say
I sound young because, you know, if I'm like 12 years old and 4 years of my 12-year life, by the way.
You're like, back in my day, it wasn't such an intense schedule with Hearthstone.
Right.
It was nice and cozy. We had 1 event a year because...
Admirable was casting King of the Hill and everything was fine.
I don't know. I like the intense schedule. I love the insane amount of events. Yes, okay, it can be quite harsh on the players, but I think sometimes players just need to learn when to rest. As some players just don't rest. I mean, look at Hunter Ace. He's everywhere at the moment. As meanwhile, France have managed to find all of the ramp to keep up with Thailand, and they can also follow up with an Oakheart to reply to the Oakheart of Dizdai.
Windello face cam says this all though. Luckily I don't speak much French. In fairness, he's pretty calm. I think they knew that was likely.
And this is one of the big changes and one of the big impacts of Big Druid as well, is the Enchanter that's on the board, allowing for the double draw off of the Dragon Hatcher. That's not going to be the same for France.
Also, Thailand, we haven't mentioned it because we've been talking about how old I am, just for a change. Double branching paths next turn is available to them.
Yep, I was saying how important the first one was. The second one being picked up is just as important, and France recognise that, and they feel like they can't go for Oakheart. They had the Trog in hand as well, which means they wouldn't have been able to pick him up from Oakheart, meaning they would only be looking at one taunt minion from Oakheart. And there was the potential that they draw Hadronox as well with that Oakheart. That's what's scary.
I'm just counting, this is just lethal next turn if they don't actually swipe here. They have to get rid of the Dragon Hatcher, luckily for them, because that's not their reason for doing this. But they were actually just dead.
I feel like France recognised the scariness of that board. But Naturalizer is going to allow for more minions to be found.
Oh my goodness. So many choices here. Do you want to go bigger again with another Sleepy Dragoni?
He is one sleepy boy, and I feel like putting him on the board is a good situation to be in.
Or do you want to give your minions +4? And just hit them?
I feel like saving it back for a lethal burst is better.
I agree. Certainly a decision they have to make.
And then you can use the Spellstone plus the Sleepy Dragon to trade through and still send 6 damage to face as well.
And France are super up against it right now. It can change pretty rapidly, but it needs to, really. Double Naturalize and double Branching Path next turn.
Onward, friends!
This is the thing, France know that their Oakheart just doesn't compete with the Oakheart of Thailand. The fact that they don't have the Enchanter, they don't have the possibility to burst through twice, as double Branching Path is available as well as a Naturalize. And that will allow for a lot of damage here, and you can see Dizdai is just counting this one up to see if there is potential for lethal. He knows he's close.
I think it's 14 and 2 12s, right? You get... No, it's 14 and 2 8s. That's 30. And they haven't got the mana for the extra 1 if I've counted it correctly.
No, because you need to use the Naturalize to get through, so you don't have the hero power.
Is there a way they can squeak 1 extra point of damage? Because if they can't, they've got to be very careful. Even though it seems like, oh yeah, put them to 1, but things can change in a hurry here. Because you're giving your opponent 2 cards to do so.
Do you just put your opponent down to 1?
It's got to be tempting.
You put your opponent down to 1.
But if you feel you can control this board, there's only been 2 taunt minions from Windello, and then just get them later.
Yeah.
This is safer.
It is. And you are still so far ahead at this point as well, and you're still putting in a decent amount of damage. And picking up more dragons, because you can see now the differences between these two decks, right? There's only maybe 6, 7, 8 different cards ultimately. So I can keep going up as I try and
29,
as I look down
30,
at the differences.
31.
But the Enchanter rather than the Trog.
Yes.
You can see the Trog is in the hand for Windello at the moment. Even if he had drawn that from Oakheart, it's still not going to make that much of an impact. Just the Poisonous is going to be able to take down maybe 1 minion. It would have helped, sure.
But this is just grim for France. Thailand, he's having a good time with this. I have a good time when I play Oakheart on like turn 5 or 6 and then have +4 to all my minions as well.
Yeah, he's having a good old laugh. It's always nice as well when you get in a win early, because it gives good spirits to your team. If you're all laughing and joking, I feel like everyone's going to be in a better mood.
That's something we see a lot from the teams that all accumulate in the same room. They sort of get a bit of a party atmosphere for the whole day, play their Hearthstone, and then win or lose. Even the teams that are losing, we've seen them, we're all together having a good time. Yes, we didn't win, but at least, hey, we're all together having a good time. A bit like the casters when we have a bad day.
Yeah, when we have a bad day, we all hate each other, but a good day...
No one ever told me this.
Oh, no, sorry, we just hate you, Neil. As Branching Paths is having to be used now just to try and stay alive.
But good luck with that.
Yeah, no way even to kill off your own Hadronox, which is the real shame for France, because they used their Naturalize earlier just to get through 1 minion. And now with double Branching Paths available, and a Naturalize as well, I'm thinking this is probably lethal, Neil, as I know you're having a little tick-tock in your head as well.
Yeah, it's +24 on your minions before actually counting their attacks.
Yeah, a ridiculous amount of damage. And we're not really surprised. I mean, Wild Growth into Nourish, into Oakheart, which pulls out Enchanter, Dragon Hatcher, 4 dragons, 5 dragons I think were drawn in the end. There was just no response for France.
Yeah, and they did their best. I mean, a lot of people would have taken a chance there about 3 turns ago and just started developing stuff. France realised they were under mortal danger, did their best, but there was just no stopping that one, unfortunately, for France, and now they are in quite a world of trouble.
Yeah, I think you were completely right when you said that they really needed to find a victory in that first game. When we look at the rest, there are some very favoured, well, slightly favoured matchups for Thailand. There is one heavily favoured matchup for me for France, and that is the Shadowwalk Shaman. No, sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
One heavily favoured matchup for the Thailand team, which is the Shadowwalk Shaman losing to the Death Rattle Hunter. And I'm really struggling to see where France are going to find a victory in this series, to be honest.
Yeah, everything is either favoured for Thailand or heavily favoured for Thailand. The thing that France do have in their favour, with respect to the strong Thailand team, in fairness, is that France just are good at this game.
They are. They are very good. You were even hyping them up as being one of the best teams in this competition. But as you also stated, there are a lot of good teams in this competition. Yeah. I mean, you're not really surprised when you base the teams off HCT points. You are naturally going to find some of the best players in the world, if not the best players in the world.
They're also super experienced. When I checked a couple of weeks ago, and there's been a couple of tournaments since then, they'd won 197 tour stop matches between them already this year.
Wow.
At like 65-ish%. That's 4 players, that's 50 wins each in matches, not games. So that's something like 600 game wins just under competitive play alone.
That's more wins than your entire Hearthstone career.
Yeah, it's definitely more wins than my entire career. But you know.
It's fine. We're all here. We're all having fun. Game number 2 is going to be Control Priest versus Quest Warrior. Neil, initial thoughts on that one?
Initial thoughts is it's kind of terrifying. And then you break it down. It's like, actually, if the Priest can't do some chip damage, it's going to lose. Because the warrior has the armor, the warrior can shoot face, and the priest can't quite get its combo going. So the priest needs to chip in some damage, but it can.
It can. It has that mid-game potential, right, to kind of run out of control and just overwhelm the underwhelming minions of the quest warrior that are just plopped onto the board. Said it again. Just to try and gain that quest and try and make sure that quest can happen so you can get Sulfurious, you can start raining down the 8 damage per turn. But if we do get to that point, then the Quest Warrior should win, in theory. And I say should because there are still potentials that maybe there hasn't been enough armor gain because of the chip damage. You find 4 Mind Blasts, you use Alexstrasza, and then suddenly the Warrior's like, oh, well now I can't use Sulfurious.
And sometimes they just don't complete the quest. That sounds silly, but sometimes it just draws all the removal and nothing really happens. And they're 4 or 5 turns behind where they should be, especially if they don't draw their militia. And they just end up not being in the right spot at the right time.
Which is a bad place to be in. You want to be in the right spot at the right time. That's how life works, right?
Yeah.
That's how we ended up here.
Yeah, I mean, no one was here, so we just sort of decided to cast.
Just sat down.
Not supposed to be here.
Yeah. We probably get fired later.
I don't know. Maybe we're saving the show.
Maybe. You decide. Let us know in Twitch chat. We won't read it, but...
you won't.
Maybe you'll read it later.
I'll be there later, looking through, see who says hello to
you. You are quite the Twitch chat lurker, aren't you? I've noticed. You are in everyone's Hearthstone
stream. It's
stream.
not so much as lurker as just... not a very nice person, really.
But
Memer.
But I see you on like Twitch, and you can see what friends are watching. And unfortunately, you are my friend. And I have to see that you're always in RDU stream, for example. You're in Zixo stream. If Zixo were to stream,
yeah, well done. Have you been on Twitch since 2017?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's been a while since you streamed. But you are everywhere. Is that helpful for you as a caster in general to be able to just watch a wealth of players?
Yeah, it helps a lot, not just because I get to see the players, but because I get to see the people who are watching the players. So quite a lot of pros hang out, even if they're not streamers themselves, in other streams, which is why you guys should watch more streams. But
stay here for now.
Yeah, not now. Stay here for now. We don't want any of those other people getting viewers.
No, that's fine.
But yeah, it's good to hang out with people and sort of get to know who's who around the scene.
So. Virtually hang out with people as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Important for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't like hanging out with people in real life?
No.
Because then you have to actually socialise with them.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Don't touch me.
Sorry. It's okay.
He touched me.
I only joke with Neil because I know that later on when we're off camera, he'll be...
away from him?
Away from me. Yeah, we try and keep separate from one another. We do apologise. We are just waiting for this game to start, which is going to be the Control Priest versus Quest Warrior. Now, we've spoke about how it is favoured for the Quest Warrior and how the Quest Warrior is likely to win. How is the Control Priest going to win, though? Because if we look at the early game options for the Control Priest, who is it? It's France that are running it. So we look at their deck. It doesn't look like they've got anything particularly different that is available for them. There isn't any like standout minions that really change this lineup whatsoever, but if they can get a few clerics, well, a couple of clerics on the board, get an acolyte down nice and early as well, and just get that draw potential, find their Twilight acolytes, for example, then they should be able to find that chip damage.
One of the wins that Priest gets against Quest Rogue, which is like an impossibly bad matchup, they just play a cleric into a pyromancer into a 2/4 acolyte, and just attack. Now, obviously, the warrior has more removal than Quest Rogue, but that's just an example of how you can get 6 attack on the board. Maybe it hits for 12 or 8, and then suddenly, with the warrior's got no armor, like you say, maybe land an Alexstrasza, and the warrior's struggling a bit to complete the quest. The warrior's certainly not going to kill you quickly. The priest has so much removal; those warrior minions just aren't going to hit you. You know, you can maybe go wide later on with your garbage minions to make sure that the rag shots don't hit you in the face. You can hang in there.
Yeah, sometimes you just hope that those rag shots do miss. And a lot of games can come down to that against Quest Warrior. Question for you, though, Neil. Do you think... Oh, yep, sorry. Do you think either of these decks can survive going into the next meta? Do you think we'll see iterations of Control Priest and Control Warrior?
I think so. I think they've been good for a long time. The next meta's only adding cards. It's not taking them away.
True.
So unless Druid just druids everybody to Druidville...
Druidville.
Then it should be fine.
There are some crazy Druid cards, that's for sure.
Luckily, you can't jam 70 cards into a deck.
You can use Archbishop.
Yep.
And then you suddenly do have 70 cards in a deck. Well,
how does that work?
Well, I mean, if you can play him twice.
30 plus 30?
You can play him twice.
Okay, I'll let you off.
Yeah.
Good save.
You could double his battle cry, for example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, get in there.
We are. This is how Hearthstone works.
And, well, Cappy's drawn the quest, oddly enough. That's how quests work.
Yeah, there's of course no consideration to be throwing away this quest. It is very important that he does have the ability later, but he's looking at... I mean, they are 3 pretty good cards that he had in his hand, but they're not really going to win him the game. They're not going to get him that early chip damage that we've been talking about. So I like mulliganing it away, trying to find something a little bit more important to try and stay alive. Shield block, Saronite Chain Gang, they will put a wall in front of that chip damage from the priest.
Demian's going to get a little bit of damage, and Cappy only drawing the 1 taunt. This is sort of a chance of that bad draw we were talking about, but Odemian also only has 1 early minion. Odemian also at Seat Story last week, so another tired player most likely. Although it's 3 days ago now, so he should be okay.
I mean, 3 days, yeah, you'd imagine so.
He also did make a tournament losing mistake in that event.
What?
Where he just ran out of time for his actions and it cost him the match.
Oh, he roped too far, did he?
He roped too far indeed.
That's always a particularly bad thing to happen.
Yeah, and he took it. I mean, he took it really well at the time, but afterwards, you sort of could tell that he was not overly impressed with himself. A winner already of a tour stop this season, so
the kind of things you have nightmares about, and they keep you up at night. And especially when you say he's had time to rest. Maybe he hasn't. Maybe that's been playing on his mind. As you'd imagine, you do save this coin back for Cappy. You don't really want to be putting an Acolyte onto the board that's just going to be traded off.
Tar Creeper's nice, though.
Yeah, you could coin out the Tar Creeper. It trades in comfortably to the Wild Pyromancer.
And then would protect the Acolyte onto turn 3. Depends what they want the coin for, but they have a mini curve, so they might just use it. As we've been saying, if they don't lose the early game, they don't lose. Very good generalisation there for a fairly close matchup, but
I like what you're saying. Protecting the Acolyte potentially for next turn, keeping that alive, and then you have the follow-up of Saronite. At least Cleric's found. It does offer a potential for draw this turn if you do want it.
There's also Clerics and Divine Hymns interact really well with Pyromancers coming up shortly. So from where they're sat, that's actually looking good. But Odemian will know that the Acolyte of Pain is coming because you've just coined out a Tar Creeper. So you've got another 3-drop in your hand.
Well, I don't know if he'll know it. He'll have a good idea.
There might be another Tar Creeper, worst case. But there's 2 Acolytes, 1 Tar Creeper remaining. And they would definitely be strongly discussing, hey, this Cleric maneuver looks really good. But if an Acolyte comes down, who does all this card draw benefit the most? And then it's like, what do we do if we don't do that? Do we just sit on our hands for 5 turns and do nothing? Which might be the deciding factor. Is like, okay, But I think we'll see Odemian nod when he sees his Acolyte next turn.
And France do know that card draw does favour Thailand more because the more likelihood if they get their taunts and they get their quest, they're probably going to win. However, just looking at the hand, it is pretty weak from France, and they do have to make some sort of move. Otherwise, they are just going to lose.
Yeah. I think that's what they ended up doing. I think we'll just see Odemian just nod when he sees this. He's quite a...
the Hearthstone nod.
The Hearthstone nod. Yeah, I knew it.
I knew they had that. Every player does it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, I knew. Even when they had Glyph into Pyroblast, it's like, oh yeah, knew that was coming.
Knew that was coming.
Yeah, knew it was coming.
Huffer, yeah, obviously.
Oh, Mecha Cthulhu, yeah, knew it was coming.
Don't Mecha Cthulhu. That's Dan's big thing right now, isn't it?
Don't know what you're talking about.
Not you, the other Dan. There's lots of Dans in Hearthstone casting.
There is. There must always be 3.
Okay.
That's how it works. So, if one of us were to ever fall sick, someone has to replace us.
Paging D2. So here comes the nod.
He nodded with his eyes.
I don't think he nodded at all, but the rest of the team nodded off camera.
Yeah, I agree with you. There was firm nodding. But now how do you deal with this Acolyte? Are you okay with giving 1 card or 2 cards to your opponent? Potentially even 3.
But then what do you do yourself? I mean, this hand is absolute garbage here for France.
Trash.
Absolute junk.
Rubbish.
Jank.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yes!
Yeah, you won. I couldn't go any further without being rude.
But he can do the Divine Favour Pyro thing. Like you say, he's going to give his opponents 3 cards. They will draw 4 on Divine Favour. Divine him. He's going to work like a Divine Favour.
It will certainly be a favour.
Yeah, they'll be doing their opponents a favour.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
This is just horrendous for France. This is exactly what Thailand needed to do, and that's why the Mulligan was so important for them. I know they picked up Tar Creeper late, but they threw away those cards that were able to remove wide boards, and instead tried to find minions that were going to be able to stop the chip damage.
Okay.
You could heal back up the Tar Creeper.
That's what they're going to do, I think.
Yeah.
But now the card will still be drawn, but it'll be a lower number of cards for Kapi. He'll be able to just bump in his Acolyte and just get a card that way.
Skulking Geist not really making too much of an impact onto Thailand's warrior. It will only be 1 Shield Slam that will get destroyed.
Now they have drawn a significant number of taunts since the start when it looked a little bit iffy. Little way to go, but they're not losing the board. That's the crucial thing. They've got Corner Sentry double Dry Whisker at some point as well in this game.
Yeah, that's a lot of armor to be gained, and that's what we were worrying about for the Priest, is how do they find the damage when there is such armor gain for this warrior?
Yeah, and if you can't get through the wall of taunts, how do you get the chip damage in to remove that armor so you can Alex Straza nice and comfortably?
And especially 1 Mind Blast has been found by France already, so there isn't even the option of finding all 4 Mind Blasts.
I mean, I made the same comment the other week and Dan corrected me, but yeah. You can just Shadow Vision into 2 of them and draw the last. But the chances are really low. It has to be in a very specific order now. It really hinders the chance. Dan's words haunting me.
I mean, if you're corrected by Falcone, you know something's bad. Just as if I'm corrected by you, usually I know that something's bad.
Yeah, you know you're having a bad morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is in your current time zone. What time zone are you in right now? You've been everywhere.
I don't even know. I woke up at 7 o'clock this morning and didn't know where I was. Have you ever had that, where you panic when you wake up?
Yeah.
You're not sure where you are?
Yeah, I have it a lot. It's usually like a bus shelter or something. So they're finally going to be able to get rid of this annoying cleric, but it's done quite a lot of work.
Blood Razor allows you to draw another one with the Acolyte as well. But you are damaging some relatively healthy minions in the meantime, so maybe it's not so good. Could Cornered Sentry into Blood Razor next turn?
And the weird thing here as well, that Psychic Scream, when they get to turn 7, is just going to put taunts back into the deck for them to find. For Thailand to find, obviously. Hand has changed for France, though. They are mustering the dragons.
Yeah, and there hasn't been that much. Well, there's been no armor gain. Little to none for Thailand. As you can see, they're still on 30. But providing they do keep Corner Cetri into both of the armorers, then they have that potential later on. But I think France will be pretty happy with the fact that they have the out of Psychic Scream, plus they have the Twilight Drakes available.
How do they get through ever, though? And they need to get through reasonably quickly. Oh yeah, you're right though, the Twilight Drakes are just fine, and now we've got a board clear. This helps.
Yeah, this really helps. Yes, okay, it still dies to what's on the board for what's in the hand of Thailand.
But now they're setting up some sort of curve into real board minions, not this 1-2s and 1-3s and 2-1s we've been messing around with.
And there is entirely the possibility of just slamming Alexstrasza down on turn 9 as well, before we see any armor gain, and then forcing Thailand to use that armor gain, potentially leaving an 8A on the board that might be able to find its way through and might be able to get rid of that armor.
Yeah, a turn that, when that happens, Thailand would like to do, but they'll have 1 mana not enough, would be the Sentry, Dry Whisker, Brawl turn.
Yep.
And just give yourself a massive chance of getting rid of the Alex. But actually, because they have it 1 turn before all that, maybe they're okay.
Quickly.
Skulking Geist.
France feel like this is a better use of their mana, clearly. As I said, it's only the Shields land that disappears.
Yep.
So
it's irritating that they have to, because obviously it thins the deck out, but it's only one of.
Yeah. But the fact that Dustbreaker does just die from the Blood Razor, maybe they feel like they need to try and gain some sort of board presence now.
Yep. And this thing challenges the board pretty well. The one thing France aren't, they're not particularly bothered about being beaten down. Obviously, each time they go below a threshold, a factor of 8, then it's 1 less shot to the face they can take. But with all the healing they have, it doesn't really matter until they hit below 22, because they can just heal back up. Or 24.
Thailand are struggling at finding some of these taunts now, that they are going to have to use one of these corner sentries, which aren't the best taunts to use.
Nice little raptors.
But they're going to go for both now.
Yeah, they're going to gain a chunk of armor.
Yeah, use one of these armorers, and then of course you can trade in with your Blood Razor to deal with the little 1/1s.
The nice little raptors.
I used the word nice, didn't I? I've learned from you yesterday.
I told you they were nice.
Still remind me never to go to Jurassic Park with you.
Yeah. I think we should arrange it.
Well, I think you're the type of person to create Jurassic Park.
I'll probably create Druidville.
Druidville, yeah.
Let's go there.
No.
It'll be nice.
I've been there for several years already.
That's a good point.
It's not even a theme park at this point.
Oh, it's nice.
It's a ghost town.
It's not a ghost town. Everybody's on the Druidville train.
Consider.
It's a ghost train.
Okay.
It's a haunted house. Dustbreaker doesn't have as much value now, although it does set up for a potential Primordial Drake turn next turn.
I like how Thailand have just managed to keep control of the board here. They're not interested in getting the face damage. They've just been interested in, I have some things, you have no things. And as long as that's the case, you're not going to hit me in the face. They're up to 43 equivalent health. But like you said a minute ago, they are struggling a little bit for taunts, but this double shield block is going to likely tidy that up.
Yeah, just thin through this deck. Try and find something that can get you closer to that quest. There's one. But you still got 3 more to actually get to it.
A bit of quick calculating required here. If they play the Tar Creeper now, they advance the quest on curve better, obviously, but then it's about, do we draw minions 2 turns in a row? Or do we just want to rifle through? I think you play the Tar Creeper here. There's no hurry to shield block. Continue with a plan of just making sure stuff is on board.
Yeah, there's no taunt minion that you can draw that you wouldn't be able to play alongside shield block next turn, so I don't mind just playing Tar Creeper now anyway. Recognizing that they are weak to a Primordial Drake, which is likely to happen on 8 as well, making the poor trades normally, but a very very valuable trades when you don't want to give up just easy kills from the Primordial Drake.
What's that on behind Cappy's shoulder, by the way?
On
the bed?
Oh no, I think it looks a little bit like some sort of kitten hot water bottle.
I think it's a pig owl.
What is a pig owl?
It's half
You can't
pig,
just build a
half owl.
beast in real life, Neil. That's not how life works.
That's not real life. That's
That is real life.
you can build
He is a real person.
a kitten water bottle.
No, oh, okay, sorry.
That wouldn't be real.
I mean, it is real. It's made of material, which
It's
is
super
real.
cute. I really like it.
It's not quite your Hello Kitty, though, is it?
Not quite, but you know, it's getting there.
Other toys are available.
Yeah, I can see other toys.
At least
So-
he made his bed. Always appreciate a player who makes his bed.
Yeah, that's good. We see some streams where they just don't make their
Terrible.
bed.
To their
And they still
not
lie
teach
in
them
it.
anything. And
It's fine. France still got it to do. They have managed to wrestle the board for basically the first time in the game.
But the thing is, Thailand just have
Yeah.
the potential to get rid of that board at any point with Brawl. They've got Warpath as well available. There's another taunt that can be played. They can find another taunt. They can get close.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not cheap.
But you wanted Sleepy Dragon last game, so don't get upset about it.
Exactly. Tarlord, though, looks nice.
They all look okay. But yeah, Tarlord looks pretty decent.
Tarlord just works better because you can hero power with it as well, I guess. It gives you a little bit more freedom to do something else.
You're never attacking with a golem, so you don't mind the downside, yeah.
And for the exact same reason, it's less mana and you can play more alongside it. So
The 5 attack is just the same, like you say, it's slightly less mana. And you don't care that it can attack right now, but even if it gets to the point where it can't, you don't care. 55 equivalent health now for Thailand. And if they get Alex, yeah, sure.
some quick maths, Neil.
It is indeed.
And it's the point where Alex Strasser just becomes pretty redundant, right? What's the point in it? Gets rid of 15 health and then the armor just goes back once again for Thailand.
Yeah, I mean, the point is obviously they will save it for a long time and try and wheedle their way into a victory later on.
Yeah, rather than Caterpie it. You don't really want to just throw it onto the board too quickly.
Yeah, indeed. So, France. You cast for a moment, Dan. I'm just going to have a minute to myself.
All right, go enjoy yourself, mate. Let me know how it goes.
Okay, France desperately trying to get through this board. Obviously, these Twilight Drakes need to have their health kept really high because of the upcoming Warpaths. Everything else will die to Warpath on turn 10, but these Drakes will not. And Odemian recognising that, just getting them as high as possible. This is basically his way to win this game, is protecting these. Maybe they win a brawl, that sort of thing.
There's a lot of maybes and ifs and buts that you're trying to give France to even find a victory here. And how frustrating is that for players, though? When you know, like, the likelihood of France winning this game, they know that they are against the odds now, really, at this point, because they haven't found their win condition, really, of that chip damage. Surely that is not an enjoyable experience to be playing through this game. A very frustrating one, it must be.
It would be for mere mortals.
Okay.
But Odemian and the rest of this French team, I don't think are mere mortals.
What are they?
They are super French people.
Are you calling them gods? Demigods?
Yeah, they're getting there.
Are they like a Hercules or are they like a Zeus?
Which one's which? From which mythologically?
I mean, Zeus is a god.
Mythologically.
Hercules is a demigod.
Is it? I thought he was a cartoon series.
Well, I mean, it's a cartoon series about the demigod of Hercules, yes.
Why wouldn't you make a cartoon series about someone more important?
Well, they do. There's loads of cartoon series. There's not just one cartoon series in
Zeus,
the world.
the cartoon,
Yeah, it probably exists.
in which he just wins every week because he's God.
But there's other gods. As you can see right now, Cappy is showing that he is also a god.
Okay.
As he's going up against the French team here and battling them and proving his worth.
And he's soon going to start spewing fire at them as well.
And some gods have those abilities.
I mean, if you were a god, you would give yourself all of the abilities.
There was a god who tried to do that. He tried to take everyone else's abilities.
What went wrong?
He eventually just got overwhelmed by a demigod, I think.
That doesn't sound possible, Dan.
You know,
But it's looking like it could be possible in this game, depending on where the fire goes. It doesn't, does it? I'd like to make that work, but I don't think it's going to. So Thailand need to assess how many threats, like realistic, bothersome threats, France have left, so they can use their resources accordingly.
Bothersome threats. What would you call a bothersome threat? Something
Anything that's got
more than
3 or attack or more.
More than 3 attack. I think that's fair. Well, both of these minions are pretty bothersome.
Yes, these definitely need to be less bothersome.
We haven't seen any executes yet from Thailand.
No, they haven't seen them either.
You could slam and then just use one of these use a hero power and just hope that it hits one of them.
I think maybe you hero power. Maybe you don't care about the card from the slam and see what happens. If it hits face is obviously what they don't want. Okay, they just decided that these are too messy. Let's just get rid of them.
I think they are. The life total is quite high on them. That's probably the worst case.
He's checking to see if he hit. He didn't, so he's not going to attack. And that is definitely the worst case. Interesting, he did choose to keep the slam back there for card draw purposes. No Anduin for Demians, not fun. But now, at least they have a game plan. They have a clear board with which to actually try and work. They've seen a brawl, so now they can try and sort of get that second brawl out of their opponents. They also, they know there's probably not a good removal spell here.
Yeah, this is the perfect time for Alexstrasza. Oh, there's that removal spell. And we were talking about chip damage. At least having Shadow Reaper Anduin available, you can still find damage every turn now. And both Shadow Visions are available for France, so there is still that chance that they can get 4 Mind Blasts in their hand.
Decision time for Cappy. I mean, I think you just want to preserve resources by firing the shot here and see what happens. If you end up slamming a 4-9, so be it. You really don't want that to happen. Maybe you tank it with your face if it hits the 4-9 and then slam execute the 8-8. Because when these two have gone, you are down to Primordial Drakes, Duskbreakers, and not a lot else. This looks like he's going to do some sort of Warpath.
Warpath, yeah.
Speak to me.
Warpath guarantees that if either minion is hit, they're going to die, and you can also execute the other one as well. This works out nicely. Probably save the charge of the weapon as well, just in case you want to be able to take down another minion. No?
I would rather say that. Is there... Maybe there's oozes and things in France's death.
Well, I think there might be.
Can't see one. Yeah, there's an ooze. So they're just getting rid of the 4 damage while they can, assuming that as France only have 7 cards left, the ooze is just a natural pick now.
It also opens up the Bloodrazor to be used next turn as well, which might be able to gain an Acolyte draw if it's not pinged away by France, which you'd imagine it will be pinged away by France, or Primordial Drake's going to be used, for example, but a couple of reasons for why to get rid of it. Smart play.
The race is on, though. Odemian's got everything set up now. 34 is not quite in range, but it's getting there, like you say, with these Shadow Visions you were talking about. That sort of sets up a huge amount of damage in one turn, potential 19 later on.
And we've seen both shield blocks used. We've seen both Drowisk Armorers used as well.
Maybe they can get it done.
Maybe they can. This is a decent spot for France, certainly after a tough early game for them. They were able to get both of those Twilight Drakes on the board, which is what really changed this game and what really gave France the chance.
Holy Fire as well. So now they are just launching everything at face, trying to erase this. They think they can get this done quicker than they can be hit in the face 3 times. I think they could be right.
Choosing the Holy Fires as well over the Mind Blast so that they can heal up.
Yeah.
Because the 8 damage that is going to be hitting them in the face is going to be quite scary.
And now if you're Thailand, I feel like you almost need to Blood Rage. You've got to get the maximum attack on the board for next turn. You can see what the plan is. You know all but 7 of the cards, so that basically everything they need is in hand. You've not got to just get this 8 to face every turn. You've got to get some chip in there and force France to slow down. Maybe they have to kill one of your minions or something.
So maybe it's double Phantom Militia plus hero power?
Yeah, that seems decent to me.
Otherwise you're only putting 1 Phantom Militia and the Bloodrazor, which is also possible. But I think the 2 minions is more important.
Because of the Echo, I think you put the 2 minions and next turn use your mana more efficiently with the Bloodrazor, which kind of has charge. And this sets up next turn lethal, which means that France are going to have to use at least 1 Holy Fire. And of course, they can't do too much in the way of the board. They've given up the board for this assault on the face. What can they get out there? So they are threatening 19 in one turn if they do get another Mind Blast. I need 2 more Mind Blasts actually, so they're not at the moment.
It's how much they respect the damage that is on the board now as well, because something like a Primordial Drake plus Ping can wrestle the board back in your favour, but then you're not healing yourself up.
Yeah, you're super scared of Slam, Execute, Blood Razor, shoot you in the face, even though that's quite a convoluted sounding combo, again, with so few cards left in the decks. There's a great chance it's there. This is where having 4 players is really handy. If you organise correctly, one of the guys is just working out maths, and one of the guys is crying in a corner, and the other 2 are discussing how to win the game.
What's he crying about?
Because they're 1-0 down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fair.
Somebody always loses it somewhere along the line, right?
There's always the rogue player. Quite literally.
Quite literally, he only plays rogue and just cries when you play the other class. It's usually Darrett.
Usually don't. Although he does win quite a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he does. I just want to meme him.
So Blood Razor is available that deals with the 3/3. It can guarantee that you can send this 8 damage to face, or you could slam plus Blood Razor and send 10 damage to face.
But you don't set up any, I mean, I think that looks like the best play, but you don't set up anything for next turn. And this double Holy Fire, luckily for them, costs too much mana. Yeah, that puts them down to 8, effectively.
So are you expecting that your opponent has picked 2 Holy Fires, though? When you saw that they had the choice of 2
Probably
spells,
not, actually.
You probably think they've picked Mind Blasts.
Yeah, probably not.
So you're probably scared of the potential of a 4 Mind Blast possibility over 2 turns.
And
so
how
you
do
just
France
deal as
heal?
much damage.
How do they heal up here? There's Execute in hand. The weapon procs next turn to do the whirly gig, to injure all the minions.
The whirly gig.
Yeah.
Is that a new card from the Boomsday project?
We'll find out later today.
Oh, are these spoilers?
I don't know. But a lot of the words I use in casts seem to be working their way onto cards.
Just spelled correctly.
Except they're spelled correctly.
Shadowy thoughts.
You're saying I say words wrong? Is that what you're saying?
Uh,
Back to the game.
Yeah, that Holy Fire is only getting you up so far, and you can only play 1 minion alongside it. That 1 minion can be cleared by the Execute that's available for Thailand.
Darkness
Looks like
speaks to me.
Thailand have got this done to me.
It does. It looks like it's gone the way we kind of expected before the game, because France haven't been able to find that chip damage early on. Despite the fact they got Shadow Reaper Anduin relatively early, they haven't been able to find enough damage.
And they're just going to do what they can.
It looks like they're going to go wide with minions instead of healing themselves up, and hoping that both can't be cleared off.
But Brawl, Whirligig and Execute will get it done.
It will indeed, or you can use the war. Yeah. Oh, you were talking about Warpath. Okay. I was wondering what a Whirligig was.
I was keeping my options open.
As we do see happy Thailand team with a happy cat or pig or whatever it is in the background, Neil. I still am not quite sure. But either way, Thailand going up 2-0 in a very favourable series for them. And I'm sorry if you are a France fan or a French fan, because things are going to get worse as we get into match number 3. It's just not looking good. Unfortunately for France, matchups weren't great for them today.
No, it's looking pretty grim. But again, we saw there they got themselves in a position where they might have a chance. They're going to have to find other ways of doing that.
They are indeed, and to find those ways, maybe they need a little bit of time to find them, as we are going to take a quick break. But when we come back, we'll be concluding this series. When you work with Dr. Boom. That's going to be stuck in my head for like ever now.
I modelled my career on Dr. Boom. Just try stuff out, have accidents, hope for the best.
Be insane.
And be insane.
Cool.
All in the name of science.
It's currently 2-0 in favour of France. In favour of Thailand at the moment against France.
Got him.
See, he's insane and he's rubbing off on me. We are going to go into Shadowwalk Shaman versus Death Rattle Hunter. And as I said, it's not a favourable matchup for the French team, as they are going to be playing the Shadowwalk Shaman, which really does struggle against the Death Rattle Hunter, doesn't it, Lorinda?
It really does. And Kalax has a point to prove as well, because week 1, when he was playing Shadowwalk Shaman, he sort of went for combo, put his dark glasses on and looked really cool, and then lost.
Oh no,
It was great.
not like this.
And then I think he's wanted revenge ever since, but he didn't win last week either, so now he's got to beat Hunter, which is just a tough job.
It really is, because the early game of the Shaman can just struggle to keep up with the pace of the Death Rattle Hunter. If you see an egg come onto the board, even if you kill that egg, suddenly you have to deal with the 5/5 as well, and it can be a real struggle with what's going to happen. You need to basically find the nuts if you want Shadowwalk Shaman. You need to have Shadowwalk available with, like, I don't know, half your deck still left, but you've still already played your Crumbles and your Saronite Chain Gangs. And you do need those Saronite Chain Gangs quite early to be able to just stay alive and not face the barrage of damage that can follow.
Yeah, putting things in the way of stuff just to try and buy time. You know you're not going to be able to fend it off forever, but if you can just build up a wall and hope it just doesn't crumble too quickly, you might get away with it. Kalax's face is looking a little bit sort of depressed already. He's going to be in Germany next week.
Is he?
With HCT. Qualified for that.
The first tournament that is going to be with the new meta of Boomsday.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty exciting, I think. Because what normally happens in those tournaments is somebody brings all the old decks and does quite well, but somebody just brings complete nonsense and does really well. Because nobody knows how to deal with it.
I mean, I'm really excited for
And
it.
you're complete nonsense.
I am. Well, I was going to say, yeah. I was going to say something else, but tracking being available for Thailand is important. That they actually chose to keep tracking, and the reason being, the eggs are so important in pretty much any matchup when you are using the Death Rattle Hunter. So be able. Well, I'll shut up.
Shut up, Shaman.
I was just going to say you need to search for them. You need to find them, but now you've got an egg. Maybe this tracking isn't as glorious as it once was.
But on the other side of that, you might need to see what happens to your egg to decide what to tracking for next, whether you go for a second egg or you go for another activator. And let's face it, it's a cracking hand. So Thailand are actually going to go for it. Important match there, as you see in the top left corner. Israel and the Philippines. My pick, the Philippines versus Team Glazer, which this year is more than just Team Glazer. The Israel community have really got together. Got a very strong team out. They're both 0-2.
I'd hate to see the Philippines go out early. I have a lot of Filipino friends, so kind of rooting for those guys. But of course, I mean, Israel, strong side as well, so it would be a shame to see either of those teams fall, as it was Houndmaster Shaw in the end that was picked up by Thailand. And we know how crazy Houndmaster Shaw can be, and to be honest, that's going to be really difficult for France to deal with. They are going to need to find a volcano sooner rather than later, as the Earth Shock is one of the benefits in this matchup to try and keep you in the game. But I think we witnessed yesterday in a matchup that even with Earth Shock onto an egg, they still lost. The Shadowwalk Shaman just couldn't keep up with the pace.
I mean, what's happening now is this has just turned into, as you say, just mid-range Hunter, so the pace just keeps on coming at you. Kalax does have that Mana Tide Totem, so he's going to be able to draw some cards. But he has a bit to the combo, I guess, with Shadowwalk, Glacial Shard, Life Drinker, so it's not completely dead, but Thailand are just going to be able to do so much. However, losing that egg has made this Terror Scale pretty horrifically bad.
Yeah, just a 3/3 is. It's not too great, but at least it does just tempo out onto the board. And you're right, Shadowwalk being in the hand may just mean that turn 9, potentially we just see a Shadowwalk come onto the board. Depending what they've played, if they've played maybe just one Saronite Chain Gang, it might need to be the initiative they have to take to try and win this somewhat unfavourable matchup for them.
Yeah, how are they going to defend? I think you just play the Terror Scale here, right? What they're thinking is we can tracking into an egg, into Terror Scales, but oh, they're not even tracking. They're going to save the tracking until they see how their hand develops, which made sense in old school mid-Hunter. Maybe they're going to use it on turn 5 when it doesn't look like there's much going on right now.
Yeah, I like keeping it back just to see what happens over this next turn from the side of the Shadowwalk Shaman. And I like keeping the Terror Scale as well, because if you do maybe pick up something like a cube later on and you're able to cube a Houndmaster before it's hexed, maybe you're able to use that. Maybe you find a play dead off the tracking that you can use with the cube as well on a turn 6.
Yeah, they feel they've got the time to do those things.
Yeah, and I think you do. I think you do have that little bit of extra time. You don't have too much time, because if you give the Shadowwalk the majority of the game, they
Right.
are probably just going to outvalue you.
Yeah, the reason I'd have plonked it onto the board would just be to keep the pressure coming over the next few turns, set up maybe a defender of Argus if they don't deal with it. But going the other way, if they feel they have the time to do all the things you described, which they do feel, then that's fine, because Shadowwalk doesn't do its thing fast, it just does it steadily and relentlessly. And we're going to reach the end of a meta where we don't even know how good some of the decks are when the meta finishes. Hunter in particular, but also Shadowwalk. I don't think we're really sure yet how good those decks are.
I mean, I think we've got a good example of how strong this Death Rattle Hunter is, considering that I think 44 teams brought it to this week's lineup.
Is that an example of how good it is, or is it an example of how bad Hunter is?
That's a very good point. I feel like it's an example of both.
Sure. I mean, it is good. I'm not arguing that it's not good. But maybe it's a bit of a point to Hunter needing a little bit of help. But I hope it doesn't get any help for this deck, though. This deck could be insane.
We say Hunter needs help, but how many times throughout iterations of expansions have we said, oh, we wish Control Hunter existed. Control Hunter would be great if it could happen.
I've never said that.
Well, so many people did, because there was so many control cards that were printed, and it never worked. Also, lol, printed video game, card game. I know people are going to be saying that, but still, we finally get to a control meta. We finally get a Control Hunter. And now we're saying, oh, Hunter needs help to get it back to its roots.
Yeah?
People are never happy.
Well, your card's in your bag anyway.
I mean, that's a funny story. I feel like I should tell that story.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll wait for another time.
Okay.
What do you reckon I can tell it now?
I think you can tell it now while we're waiting for the next turn.
I went to Japan recently to cast HTT Tokyo. I went through the border control absolutely fine. And then I went through the bag search. And the lady searched my bag and she said, oh, what are you here for? And I said, oh, I'm going to a card game tournament. And she said, what card game? I said, Hearthstone. And she searched through my bag, had a little look around, and then she said, but where are your cards?
It's a fair question.
And she had me stumped.
Yeah.
I had no idea what to say then.
So they sent you here?
So I'm back. Didn't actually get to cast HTT Tokyo in the end.
Ah, well.
So Blizzard, print some real-life Hearthstone cards for me to take with me next time.
So now we are on to the next turn. So that was just the right length of story.
Thank you.
Well timed indeed. And Viper Pro, this is the turn that I don't think they were looking forward to.
They managed to find another egg. And they can use a tracking alongside it.
Do they play it, or do they wait for next turn for the Terror Scale? Because... Oh, France are only playing one Earthshock. That makes things a bit easier for them.
Yep. And I don't think you would see a Hex onto just an egg, would you? Maybe you would.
Oh, you definitely might.
Yeah.
They've got to look at turn 7. How are they going to get these cards down efficiently right the way to turn 7?
Actually, I suppose you probably would see a Hex onto an egg.
Yeah.
Because naturally you think, oh, I'd like to Hex a cube, for example. But usually if a cube comes down, it probably comes down with a play dead anyway, and then the damage is already done. So you better be leaving.
Better believe in the egg.
That was a reference to a song that you definitely would never have heard, I just realised.
I haven't heard any songs ever.
No. It also was from this generation, not yours.
We didn't have songs. Or generation.
You just had sticks and stones.
Yep. They may break my bones, I'm used to it with you lot.
Yeah, this is true.
That's why they don't hit me with words anymore. Karax has got a lot of the pieces he needs. He's also drawing some cards, which is very nice for him. But Shaw is a terrifying thing to face down as Shadowwalk. We've seen how quickly things can change. I mean, next turn would be like Egg, Terror Scale, everything attacks, your border's gone. I've got a million health minions. Your Volcano becomes rubbish, if you even have one.
So do you prefer hero powering and trying to get the extra spell damage for Lightning Storm, Far Sight, and trying to find something? It looks like he's gone for the hero power, does find the spell damage as well, which is a guaranteed clear onto the shore.
That's something they needed urgently. And now, Viper Pro can't kill this Manatide easily, and the Manatide's getting a lot of work done. Without this, they wouldn't have probably 2 or even 3 of those cards now. It's been down for some time.
This Hex turns up at a good time as well, because if this is a high main turn, I'd be more than happy to just Hex that bad boy away as well.
Yep.
And even like this is a great situation for the Shadowwalk Shaman, by the way. Like, this is exactly how they win this game, is by staying ahead at this point. But even though they are relatively far ahead until now, the fact that in the late game, the Hunter can go so wide and they can get out of range of volcanoes, makes it so difficult for the Shadowwalk Shaman to stay alive, to draw all of their combo pieces. I mean, we haven't seen Grumble yet. There's only one Life Drinker in hand. We haven't seen Saronite Chain Gangs yet. There's so much still to do for the Shadowwalk Shaman.
Yeah, they've drawn the irrelevant pieces of the combo. There is that MC tech, that could be a big, big deal. Because it can just steal whatever's churning out 5/5s, or maybe steal the big minion if they play a Grizzly. But obviously it's nowhere near comfortable enough.
And more importantly, with the mind control tech, it is another battle cry that if, for example, Shadowwalk does have to come out early before the important pieces of the puzzle are found, maybe you're putting it onto a board that already has 4 minions, and suddenly mind control tech gets its battle cry again, which you might just need.
A thing that can happen is you play the Shadowwalk, you get maybe 3 Shadowwalks, and then you get like 2 MC tech activations, depending how Grumbles and things have worked. And sometimes, I mean, the Hunter does go wide, you can steal 2 5/5s, and you just win the next turn. That is, I've seen that happen. That is a way that Shadowwalk can get it done.
You might steal Witchwood Grizzlies that protect your Shadowwalk, and suddenly you can bounce your Shadowwalk back, as Mossy Horror is one of the tech-ins in this deck, and yeah, that looks pretty grim to me. It clears the whole board
and
on your front side and activates your egg for a 5/5 as well. A very welcoming inclusion, and I love, love, love that Mossy Horror has found its way into this meta.
Do you?
Yes, I really do. As Philippines tie things up against Israel off stream.
Oh.
That's a bit awkward.
Yeah, you're going to lose 2 of these cards for the entire Hearthstone game. After your Mossy Horror mosses about.
What do you prefer? So if you pick a Play Dead, you can still get a cube from your deck. So you can still have the cube into Play Dead possibility.
A cube can be hexed, and they haven't used one yet.
This is true.
This is important, I feel. But it can also, so the other side of it, why they have chosen it, is it can also target anything, whereas Play Dead, when you've only got 1 cube and a couple of high mains left, aren't that thrilling.
Do you know why Mossy Horror is also terrifying?
Because of the picture?
Because it, yeah, looks a little bit like you. And it has 7 health as well, Neil. That makes it very difficult for Volcanoes to get through a board like this.
It does. There's going to be 5 leftover damage, and they have used one of those lightning storms. Doesn't look that much like me.
That much? Just a tad. Well, that's that 7 health going on the side of France. And maybe you have to use one of these hex, well, this hex, just to, well, stay alive.
Yeah, they're starting to get low on health now, but they are starting to get close to doing things. But Grumble's not till next turn, Shadowwalk's not till the turn after. Still not actually going to be able to replicate much. Ooh. That's all I got is ooh right now.
It's quite scary facing down potentially 13. You do have Healing Rain.
And hand size is becoming an issue as well, which is fine for now, but they are going to need to dump that if they are to win the game. So one of the problems with the Hunter deck is when you get control of it, or you think you have, they hit you in the face with a giant King Crush.
So you can do 17 damage now this turn if you would like.
And set up King Crush to the mush.
Set up King Crush to the mush. Sounds like a breakfast cereal.
And you're the one that wouldn't go with me to Jurassic Park. Oh, yeah, having for breakfast, Dan?
King Crush.
To the mush.
To the mush.
That doesn't sound good.
Yeah, just throw in a few marshmallows. That's how it works nowadays.
Toasted dinosaur with some marshmallows.
Yeah.
We can have mushrooms again now as well.
That we can. That's a bonus.
How much of this do they want to clear up, do you feel? All of it going face isn't required because King Crush will kill them anyway if there's no Healing Rain. If there's a Healing Rain, you don't want to go all face because you'll risk losing the board.
So, yeah, if you do go all face and you're setting up for a King Crush turn, you're saying, how do they stop me from hitting face next turn? How do they stop this potential lethal damage? Well, they know that Saronite Chain Gangs exist, they know that Healing Rains exist, they know that Mind Control Tech was also just put back into the hand. So I like playing around the Mind Control Tech, that's perfect for them. There's the Saronite Chain Gang though for France. But is it enough to keep them alive? Saronite Chain Gang, Healing Rain.
That might be enough.
And Farsight into nothing.
Into nothing. But it keeps them alive. Don't think there's many things that Viper Pro can do to win the following turn immediately.
There are draws, though, for Viper Pro that could help out. Candle Shot, to be used in conjunction with this Hunter's Mark, could help just smash through any taunt of any size. And Thailand's so close to taking a 3-0 against one of the strongest teams. Certainly Lorinda feels, and I feel like many people would agree, in this Global Games.
I nearly picked them, actually.
As one of your teams?
Genuinely, I got down to them and the Philippines at the end, and I just couldn't desert the Philippines from last year.
You are APAC dad.
Indeed.
Alright, so what can they do? They can't even kill off one of these 6/6s now.
They're setting it up so that at least it trades into a chain gang, it dies. That's all they got.
Defender of Argus.
Well, that means it doesn't die.
Means it doesn't die. There's no option for lethal, though.
But Defender of Argus does buff the other Argus so they can get into the chain gang. And your dinosaur so it can take out the chain gang and live. It's not that exciting, though. They want a King Crush. Because it doesn't have Rush.
Do you just rhyme Crush with Rush?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not how rhyming works, is it?
I think so.
But it's exactly
They
the
both
same
end in
word.
Rush.
Okay. Well, they both end in Rush, because Crush is just R-U-S. H.
Yeah.
Did you say H or H?
H, because I'm not an idiot. I'm not a stupid noob.
Well, wow. This turns sour very quickly.
Yeah. Do you say H or H?
I say H.
Yeah.
Because I'm an idiot, apparently.
Yep.
However, you did just rhyme Crush with Rush, so come to that conclusion from what you read.
You rhymed H with H.
No, I wasn't rhyming it. I was just asking
It did
you.
rhyme, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, they have made their decision, pointing some damage at the face. And they are setting up lethal every single turn right now, but Kalat is getting to the spot where...
So you're putting something that's on the board which is not really worth hexing, because you're like, I'm not so scared of those 2/3s, but it then means Volcano just becomes infinitely worse.
4 plus 8 is 12 as well, which is quite important right now. Let you work that out for yourself.
You just need a song.
With my own...
Your own quick
Lavinda maths.
Yeah.
I wonder.
But 4 plus 8 being 12 is very irrelevant, because if they can only get rid of these 2 minions, they will still win the game.
Alright, what Battle Crisis Shuttlewalk got then? It's got Mind Control Tech, which is doing nothing at this point. Is that it? It hasn't used a life trigger. It's got Glacial
That
Shard.
might be a shooty guy, yeah, Glacial Shard.
A shooty guy.
It shoots like
That could be
ice at
anything from the range of Han Solo to Indiana Jones. Yes, okay, I used the same actor for both characters.
you. Well, one of them is even a Hearthstone card,
Exactly.
roughly.
Yeah.
So we're peering for this lethal, but France do seem to be able to fend off this lethal turn after turn, but how long can it go on?
Good.
No grumble, meaning that it's okay for Thailand to just keep setting up lethals, because a wall of Shuttlewalks is not a very good blocking wall, it's just a good offensive wall.
Yeah, there is a Zola, but of course the Zola can't target a Shuttlewalk single-handedly on its own on the board. But maybe, just maybe, it can find that second one that's duplicated. And I think maybe France have to take that risk. It's how comfortable you feel at 13 when you've got all this damage now. They haven't found one of their volcanoes, I'd like to point out, in this game.
Would they have helped?
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like they would have. Certainly with the early board, that first turn where Viper Pro was able to get his Terra Scale on board and pop that egg, maybe a Volcano would have been able to just clear off one of those 5/5s a little bit more comfortably. Right, so if you grumble now, you can use another life drinker and you can get back up to 16. But then you're just...
Then you're just gonna get crushed.
So alternatively, you just play this Shuttlewalk.
And you're just gonna get crushed.
Yeah. Because you put yourself up to 16. Maybe if... I think there's only been the one freeze.
Yeah, it's quite early on, I think.
You could Farsight and look for options, look for a healing rain potential, combine that with a Hex.
They've got to do
But
something.
judging by this play, yeah, you're just Shuttlewalking and now you are hoping for the best.
Yeah.
You do find the Glacial Shard as well from the Sandbinder. Okay, so that's good.
Well, this is a big board. Will it hit again?
Well, that's the one that came out of his hand.
So yes, it will then.
So yeah, it
yes,
will.
it would have done. Deathstalker Rexar's not enough.
It isn't, and now you can't kill off all of these Shadow
You
Walks.
can Hunter's Mark 1 before you Rexar.
But then Grumble comes out, and then you've got Shadow Walk, Shadow Walk, Shadow Walk, and you're just gonna lose.
I wonder.
I think France take this game.
It's looking good for them. All the way through, it looked like they weren't quite going to get it done. And this is the weirdness with Shadow Walk. Sometimes you can't lose, and the Shadow Walk gods just hate you, and you lose. And sometimes it looks like you need a bit of fortune. That's what they got. It didn't need a lot, to be fair.
We were expecting an early Shadow Walk, and I'd say in the grand scheme of things that was an early Shadow Walk. I think the most important was the Sandbinder actually pulling that second Glacial Shard to be able to freeze another minion.
Yeah.
Because things could have gone drastically wrong if maybe the random freeze had hit face, and then there wasn't another Glacial Shard available.
Still not over, though, although we're talking like it is. It's getting there. But
I'd say it's pretty over.
they've only used one life drink, and they do need this Grumble to do its thing. They've got to find a way to stay alive.
Yeah, it's pretty over.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing.
You have Grumble, you have 2 Shadow Walks available,
Yeah.
you have Healing Rain there, so you can even just use 1 Shadow Walk, guarantee yourself getting a Grumble back,
Yep.
and then you have a Healing Rain as well, just to keep you alive for the next turn, or you can just play 2 Shadow Walks, get yourself up.
And that's what they decided. They're going to make the space in their hand by doing the Healing Ring first, rather than even taking the look at what happens first.
My jaws that bite, my claws.
And then there's going to be 2 freezes that are going to be available. And yeah, an unfavourable game for France. They've been able to pull it out because, well, let's look at it realistically. It was that Earthshock early on. I feel like, yes, this is a really favourable game, but Earthshock can change it quite considerably.
And obviously losing Shaw was a big deal with the...
Sure.
Yeah, him.
Sure.
The Houndmaster was removed really quickly.
Sure it was.
Yeah, it was.
But a
With
massive
the
win.
roll and yes.
You were saying that we needed to see him get a Shaman victory to try and bring himself back from previous losses, and there we go. He has redeemed himself, if he needed to redeem himself, as that was a well-played game as a Shadow Walk Shaman.
Sure.
That's a... don't you... Someone else come. Can you cast? Thanks. All right, Darrek's going to come in a second.
Okay, cool.
Right, game number 4 is going to be Paladin versus Paladin, and I said I really wanted to see this game, and for one reason and one reason only. It is not an Odd Paladin mirror. It is, in fact, Even Paladin versus Odd Paladin.
So which one are you, person at home watching this? Are you even, like me, like on an even keel? Or are you odd, like Dan?
You're not... How can you say you are not odd?
Because
You are
it
the
didn't
oddest
work as a
person I've
meme otherwise.
literally ever met. Even Paladin is an interesting bring to this meta. It makes sense, I guess, because it can work well against some form of control decks, and it is a very control-heavy meta. I think, however, this is probably the worst matchup that they could have got out of what was available, because, I mean, Odd Paladin versus Even Paladin back in the day, when Even Paladin actually existed, and when it wasn't...
When it had Call to Arms.
Yeah, when it had Call to Arms, Odd Paladin was still favoured then.
Yep.
I would imagine Odd Paladin is still favoured now.
Yeah.
But maybe we can still see...
There's plenty of
Knife
removal.
jugglers?
You've got Knife Jugglers, you've
Yeah.
got Consecrations, you have Equality, that's like a dead card.
A little bit.
I've got a load of 1/1s. What are you going to do? Turn them into 1/1s.
Maybe a board full of 3/3s from a level up. That might help out.
You do, of course, get access to Sunkeeper Tarim. That's a big deal. But again, when your
So does
opponent's
the Odd
churning out 1/1s all the time, so does the Odd Paladin.
Odd Paladin cheats and use Stonehill Defender to get...
Are they using Stonehill? Yes.
Yes, they are. Okay, great. I'm glad we were able to both agree on that.
Because Stonehill is a weird choice in Odd Paladin.
You think so?
It is at the moment, because Divine Favour doesn't...
so? Sorry, my voice went really high.
You're throwing me so hard right now.
Sorry.
Under the bus. No.
Carry on.
So the Stonehill Defender is a really good card because it can fetch Tarim, but it doesn't interact well with Divine Favour, and it is only a 1/4. It's pretty good with Void Rippers as well, so it has a lot of pluses, but it doesn't start beating people. And Odd Paladins, it's not in a hurry to win the game, but it's in a hurry to get a lot of stuff on board, and playing a 3-mana 1/4 doesn't get a lot of stuff on board.
But it can get you Tarim.
But it can get you Tarim, which is great if you've got a lot of stuff on board.
That is the game changer. I think that is why Stonehill Defender does just work its way so comfortably in. It also can protect things as well. Stonehill Defender is a good way of protecting a board full of 1/1s and allowing you to potentially get a level up online.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, everyone knows is amazing. But this Odd Paladin should, in theory, run through this Even Paladin. But either way, I'm excited to see Even Paladin in action. We have seen Even Paladin brought before, I think, in the global games. Whether it's on stream or not, I'm not sure, but I certainly saw it in deck lists. People do try to be a little bit edgy sometimes, just try and bring something a little bit different.
And I think it's important. We've had a meta after week 1. The cast has got together after week 1. Were you here?
Week 1?
No, the actual cast has got together after week 1. Had a bit of a chat about what we thought of the meta, and we were very scared that it was just going to stagnate. But then we realised that the caster meta was stagnating as well, so we brought some new guys in.
Yes, I feel like I'm a good replacement. It's fine. I was busy in.
I feel like they were the good replacements. Now we've got the real people here.
I don't know where you're going with this. I was busy
being nice.
I was busy in Japan
you.
getting turned away for not having physical Hearthstone cards.
Sounds like a fun trip.
It was a fun trip, as now we get 2 new players online who are going to be playing this one for France and Thailand. Would you say there is a better player?
So, I'm going to start with Patayo, because I don't think he's the better player, but he was a streamer for the longest time, and now he's getting voted in on merit as well. One of those players that's done it kind of backwards to a lot of people. Start off as a streamer, get big, then get good. Well, a lot of people do it the other way. They get good, and they say, oh, I should stream because people will watch me. He's just a fun streamer to watch who has progressed as he streamed. Svids, Odemian says, is in the top 5 players in the world.
Wow.
So there's a little bit of bias because he's on the same team.
That's a pretty big statement, though.
But Svids is their anchor on points.
So is he... Well, on points he's not top 5 in the world, though, surely.
He's not, but he's up there. He's probably top
there.
15. And last year he may have been top 5, but probably not, probably top 10. They churned. I haven't actually got the notes, which is really irritating because I normally do, but he churned out a lot of points last year. I want to say like 80 or 90.
That's all right. Don't get worked up, Neil. And a question I want to ask you. No, it's okay. Question I want to ask you, Neil. Do you think there is a progression from... I mean, we can look at last year with the global games, and we look at how we saw some new faces that were voted in, potentially. Do you feel like being a streamer who's then gone into a player, HGG is a good platform to maybe push you as, like, a true Hearthstone pro? Like,
Yes.
This is a chance to demonstrate what you have to offer in Hearthstone, and then you can kind of go solo afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, Glazer last year, the Israel team wasn't as strong last year. Glazer was on that team, basically. With a bit of respect to the others, I overdo this a little bit. There were a couple of players in Israel last year who were very good, but maybe they didn't have the time they could commit. And Glazer carried them a long way through the event. And this year, now he's on F2K, earning the big bucks, winning the big tournaments, or at least getting high placings in the big tournaments. You know, just a very well-respected player. Got his way through the European WSG phase as well. Just solid. So, yeah, I think it's good for their confidence as well as good for other people around to realise how good they are.
Now, the final of Hearthstone Global Games, if you don't know at home, is going to be played at BlizzCon this year. Do you think, Neil, that this is an extra incentive for teams to try and qualify for those finals? I mean, I know last year it was an incredible final as well, but do you think teams now are like, oh, well, this is a chance at BlizzCon?
Yes.
Not many people get to compete at a BlizzCon, let alone compete for their country at BlizzCon.
I think it's a massive deal. I think we've heard 2 or 3 people been interviewed have said, hey, let's get to, how well are you going to do? And they go, well, we'd like to get to BlizzCon because they will see what happens. We just want to go to BlizzCon. I think it's huge. Anyone who's playing Blizzard games probably wants to go to BlizzCon at some point.
Yeah, I mean, whether you're cosplaying, whether you're just a big fan of seeing some of the games that are going to be, or the latest patches or updates that are going to be coming out, it's going to be an amazing time, and I'm sure everyone is looking forward to being there as well. I guess we can probably talk about Even Paladin versus Odd Paladin a little bit further now as we're about to dive into game number 4. How does this go wrong for the Odd Paladin? Because we keep saying, oh, this should be a comfortable victory for the Odd Paladin, but surely there is a chance still for the Even Paladin.
So the Even Paladin can stick some minions on the board with decent healths, like curve quite nicely. Don't forget they've got that good hero power, so they're never going to get too far behind. They can stick some slightly bigger minions and just use those to eat up the opposing 1/1s every turn.
I think what's important...
And then Alpha Strike to face.
What, sorry?
Hit them in the face.
Oh, okay. What's important for the Paladin on Thailand's side, the Odd Paladin, is we don't see any boisterous bards, for example.
Okay.
Which actually would have really helped in this matchup. It keeps you out of range of those little knife juggly McGees. As Swids is just having a little fiddle around, finally arrives back at his desk.
And sees a hand and doesn't really want to see. Absolutely nothing doing with that hand. And to be fair, Thailand won't be overly joyous about their hand either right now. They've got some decisions to make though. Do they want to keep level up? Probably not, because you have 2 level ups. You have 2 mushroom dudes. So you probably... Dan always cringes when I use the wrong word for cards.
What is a mushroom dude?
Fungalmancer.
Okay, alright.
Fungus, mushroom.
Yeah, well, I get it, but...
You obviously didn't.
Well, no,
Otherwise you would
no,
probably
as in,
scowly faces.
I get why. After.
I see.
I didn't get it at that time. That's why I looked at you like...
Like that.
Yeah, like
that look that he has.
None will
So at least an Armani Berserker has been found, which is at least something that can be put on the board for France. If you are wondering what an Even Paladin looks like nowadays, because of course they did lose Call to Arms, Glass Knight is in there at the moment. Of course we saw the Black Knight, which was a Tekken as well. Hydrologist in there for some early game secret action. I mean,
It's basically the same list,
it's
right?
really similar. It's just
It
like...
just doesn't have call to arms anymore, so it can't cheat on turn 4 like it used to.
And the thing is, you would still win games with the Even Paladin without cheating on turn 4.
Right.
Even without the Call to
Well, I wouldn't, but most people would.
No, yeah, normal people would, that's for sure. But the Firefly is going to be really good for Thailand here to get that on the board. There is the thought process for them of, are we going to coin out a Righteous Protector as well, or even just a Flame Elemental? It's definitely a possibility, but...
Definitely is, because they can do that into just hero power and then start buffing it all up with raid leaders if needed, or Stonehill defenders if they want to go the other way. But they look like they've got this level up in mind already to me. Try and get that going before they don't get it going.
Indeed.
Thanks for the save.
That you are more than welcome, good sir. So you could coin out Stonehill Defender, but that plays into the Armani Berserker. You have to have a really good play if you're not going to hit the hero power on turn 2.
Yeah, hero power trade just seems really good here. Like racing their hero power with yours. Okay, both make 1/1 dudes for 1 mana. But the swing of having them in one go just is so nice. And also the way that even works out is just on the even mana turns they don't get the hero power.
Yeah.
So they don't get to use it as often as you would think, because they're trying to use their curve, which is why it doesn't work out so well.
We are just going to see a little bit of protection of these Silverhand recruits already, as there's that Glass Knight I was talking about, and now we see the failure of Even Paladin already, as it just
brutal.
has no turn 3. This is awful. You are already going to be falling behind.
You sound like my old English teacher.
Did you get sent back a couple of years?
You just keep telling me I'm going to fall behind. This is awful.
Are you
what are you actually doing? You can't say any of the letters of the alphabet yet, and you're 19 years old.
Yeah, every time it gets to W, you have to go back to the start.
You kiss it to R. O-P-Q-W-S-T, and they just, nope.
No. Back again.
Absolutely wrong.
Mr. Bond.
Yeah, that's no fun at school either.
Raid Leader is just so good here. Not only does it allow you to trade nicely into the Armani Berserker, but you can push some extra damage.
And this is what last turn was about, all about dealing with this Berserker efficiently.
Now, there is entirely the possibility that Consecration can come from France as well, which would somewhat get them back in the game. I say somewhat because there's a Corridor Creeper that is available for Thailand that could just be put onto the board immediately afterwards, but we're just going to have to see a Saronite Chain Gang to try and test this board, and that's going to be chopped up next turn by a Fungalmancer. But this turn, you could just protect a couple of minions with a Stonehill Defender.
It's not the nicest of turns, is it? Because you really want to make more recruits
Yes.
to obviously set up your level up. You could 2-for-1 trade to get the corridor creeper down to 0 is just a thing you could consider. Stick a stone hill in the way, but yeah. Oh, they're actually going to get like another righteous protector or something.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
But they got an Osrook instead.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a Iron Fur Grizzly, just something that's a little bit cheap that can be played. But all right, there is still hope now for France. You've got possibilities of using Blessing of Kings here just to be able to smash through this Stonehill Defender. I like the double trade. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, corridor creeper getting cheaper.
What? Where? Who did you just become?
Who do you
What
want me to
accent
be?
was that?
I don't know. I don't know what my normal accent
No,
is.
well, I don't know
What did
where
I
you were
do?
from.
What does it sound like?
You sounded like you were from Biker Grove, like you just turned into a Geordie for a little bit.
No, that'll do. I can handle that.
Just no, never do it again. There are 2 things you're banned for now.
No, I'm not banned anymore from doing wolf noises. The timer has expired.
Alright, you're allowed 1 today. Choose it wisely.
Okay. And what's the other thing I'm banned from?
Geordie accents.
Okay. That wasn't deliberate.
Gotta do a creeper, get in cheaper.
It just
That's
popped
basically
out.
how you sounded. You sounded like Ant and Dec.
Well, they do okay for themselves, talking about things.
Yeah, they do. They've got pretty far. Well, there's that Blessing of Kings being used. But it can be answered by a Blessing of Might.
It can. It can also be answered by the...
Fungalmancer.
Yes. Oh, Divine Shield, though. This makes this Blessing of Might absolute nonsense.
Odd Paladin is so good. It's so good, Neil. I love it.
You're telling me not to do things. I just saw what you did off camera there, and everyone else heard the noise.
I just flexed.
So what do you love about it?
It's so good. It's just got so many... All right. Yes, okay, that maul could have been bad.
Okay.
So there was the risk factor of it being just +1 attack or just summoning or just taunt. But look at it. Look at what our Paladin is doing against a deck that is just too slow. It
Against a
can't keep
deck
up with
that
the pace.
nobody plays,
Yeah, exactly.
to be fair. But yeah, I understand. I mean, this looked like it was going to be an oppressive deck when we saw it right at the start of the meta. It sort of faded away because it is a bit one-dimensional.
Odd Paladin?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it struggles in this meta, especially on ladder, because of things like even lock, right? Anything that has those board clears is going to struggle. Speaking of board clears, Consecration is there for France, but unfortunately the Divine Shield is absolutely massive. So Avenging Wrath is having to be used as a...
Yeah, this is a Consecration setup, but they need a bit of form as well. They didn't really get it.
It's okay. It killed off at least both of the Silverhand recruits.
But Fungalmancer's just going to keep everything alive, or as much alive as you care about. Fungalmancer Blessing of Might is a chunk of damage going into hero power level up the turn after. Okay, quality Consecration clears up. That's something they've got to watch out for.
As Israel take a 2-1 lead over the Philippines, meaning Philippines are only 1 game away from being eliminated from the Hearthstone Global Games as a tear rolls down Lorinda's eyes. Cheek.
The tears rolling down your eyes is a bit awkward. It means you're standing on your head. So they are going to defend against the Equality Consecration by putting the Argent Squire into play. But even Equality Consecration, it just passes it back to you again.
Yeah, and this is the problem. Like, I was trying to find a way that the even Paladin wins, which I guess, okay, there is still chance. Because Equality Consecration, yes, does even this up.
Yeah.
But you can refill the board so easily with the Paladin. And that's why even though the odd Paladin, when going up against Q-Block, for example, back in the day, it still managed to get through the damage despite things like Defile, because it just could constantly put a wealth of minions onto the board.
So they're forcing the Equality Consecration, then you're going to see the follow-up, which is just do it again. You can see how France have tried to control it. That Avenging Wrath was a good idea.
It was a good idea, but because there is still 1 minion left on the board, it means Blessing of Might has a target. Double Blessing of Might means 9 damage is available on this turn if you would like it. Put an Iron Fur Grizzly and a couple of 1/1s on the board alongside it, and I think you're in a good spot.
I wonder how much they're going to hurry this. They've just seen a quality consecration. They've seen the Avenging Wrath. Just getting minions on the board and leveling them up might be a good deal, but they're going to go for everything. They're going to get this Blessing of Might, protect the 1/1, and set up a level up backup plan for next turn.
Are they going to Blessing of Might? I think they should. I think you take this damage whilst you can. You consider, they'll be having a little discussion, and they'll be saying, what is available for France? Do they have any taunts that they can put down? Is there anything that goes in the way? Is there any Spikewood Steed, for example, which there isn't in this Even Paladin list?
Yeah, what could go wrong? At least one Blessing might surely connect here. They only have one Divine Favour, so if they do empty their hand, they've got to be a little bit careful, but careful of this, Sunshine.
Yep, this is good. Trade off to the 1/1 because why not? If there is a way that 3/3 is cleared, then you can't trade easily into the 7/1. Spellbreaker plus True Silver Champion keeps you alive on board.
Yep, so you do that and then...
Yeah. Your magic shall not save you.
But then you just die to level up. So despite the fact that Thailand had their whole board removed from Consecration and Equality, they are going to find the damage, and they can do it with a Leroy Jenkins off the top as well. France fall, which means they go 1 and 2 in the Swiss.
It does, and they've looked good every week, but they've had some horrendous matchups, in fairness, in the pairing of decks stage.
But bringing an Even Paladin,
Sure.
how do we feel about this, honestly?
I know how you feel about it. And I feel
You can ask me afterwards.
How do you feel about it?
I feel like it's a brave move.
Okay.
I feel like if it had worked and if they had been paired up against a more control matchup and we'd see Valenier just hit face and
Sure.
then the struggle for the control, we'd have been like, oh, they're geniuses.
And it has been a controlling meta, to be fair.
It has.
We've seen very few really... Well, yesterday was a bit different, but for weeks 1 and 2, almost every match was incredibly long-winded, lots of control decks, so maybe it was a good idea to bring it and they just got outbrought.
I mean, I am not going to doubt the French players. They are incredible players, right? And they would have been calculating the odds on... For goodness, for goodness sake. They've been calculating the odds on what's the likelihood of one of their Even Paladins facing against a control deck.
Yep.
And then they would have said, what's better, Odd Paladin or Even Paladin in this situation? They decided on this week it would be Even Paladin. Unfortunately for them, it went against an Odd Paladin. As we'll take another look at the matchups and see what we had in store for this series. It was a pretty good series. It was nearly a very quick series indeed, but thankfully we were able to see France get one win on the board with a slightly unfavourable matchup.
Yeah, you really wanted to see how it even looked, didn't you?
I did.
And now it panned out how we thought it was going to, but again, I'd love to have seen it play against one of the more slow decks.
Yeah, and there's still hope for it. There's a new expansion coming out. Maybe Even Paladin can exist once again.
I mean, just looking at that board there, if they run it into the Warrior instead of the Paladin, suddenly we're saying it's a genius move to bring Even Paladin.
Exactly, yeah. It's just a shame, and sometimes that is the luck of the draw in the second phase. The ban phase, they probably felt relatively comfortable, but Paladin versus Paladin, what are you going to do? Odd Paladin is just too strong, but I believe we do have an interview with Dizdai. Hello, can you hear us, Dizdai? Just to double check. You can indeed.
Yeah.
Right, we've just been having a massive conversation about Even Paladin. I would love to hear your thoughts on Even Paladin and why you thought it might have been brought to this tournament.
I thought that is like a deck that can doing well with deck like control piece that everyone would like to bring it. So because it's play a weapon that what is name? Volania or something. It's good against control that have no silence. So I think it's good.
It's a good bring if it finds the right matchup.
Obviously, you're now 2 and 1. What does this mean to the Thai community? Obviously, Thailand have been growing a lot in the last year or so.
Yeah, I thought that we keep doing well and Thai community support us. So yeah, we keep doing well in the next match too.
You are doing well, and it's fantastic to see you at 2 and 1. Have a nice break in the 2 weeks off, and well, best of luck in the next meta with the Boomsday. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, he kind of had similar thoughts on us on the Even Paladin being brought as well. Like, if it hit one of the right targets, then yes, okay, maybe it was a good bring.
And we're never going to find out because we go into a new meta soon. But the meta we're looking at now, let's have a look how this one went down. Game 1 was pretty much a stomp here.
Yeah, it was a Master Oak cart that was on, like, what, turn 6 or turn 7? I think it was turn 6 in the end. And that was the Big Druid winning against the Taunt Druid, mainly because of the Enchanter that was able to give 2 activations on the Dragon Hatcher, which just got them far too far ahead. And it is a risk bringing Big Druid or Taunt Druid over Malygos Druid.
Not bringing Malygos Druid is definitely a risk. It's just the best deck, in my opinion, right now.
Do you think it's the best desk? This is the best
This
desk.
is the best deck.
Do you think this is the best deck overall out of anything
Mali
right
Druid,
now?
I think so, yeah.
You think it's the #1 deck?
Yeah. Although Shudderwock was the deck that claimed #1 in NA. So
Yeah, I think they're both up there, right? We're finally, or I say we, players are finally learning how to play these decks to their maximum potential, and it is turning into, well, it has been a fantastic meta. It's a great end to this meta in the end. Speaking of an end, as I've just said it 3 times in a row, we saw another victory for Thailand that was able to take them 2-0 up. And I thought it was going to be a 3-0 in this matchup here, but a fantastically played game from the Shudderwock of France was able to keep them in the series.
Yeah, this is really worth a rewatch, and this is why Shudderwock is not going anywhere fast. It is capable of beating anything when in the right hands, and they didn't have a particularly good draw. They just found ways to stay alive until they got to the things they needed. Grumble, just doing grumble things.
Grumbly things, indeed. And on your point, you're saying you don't think that Shudderwock's going to go anywhere. I mean, is there anything you've seen in the Boomsday release that could enhance a Shudderwock Shaman? Because it's not, I think Blizzard have been very careful about printing Battlecry cards for Shaman.
Battlecry, win the game.
I think that is basically just what Shudderwock is.
But no, I haven't seen anything that terrifies me in terms of it getting better. I think it's just the right power level where it's a fantastic deck, but personally, I find it quite difficult to play, so you can mess up so easily.
And there is, of course, an update coming, later this week, I believe, that will allow for potentially counters to Shudderwock Shaman, so maybe they need to be able to find ways to play around that. And we can talk about those counters if that happens in future weeks. We won't get into it just yet, because, of course, we have more games of Hearthstone for you guys watching at home. We have 5 in total today. We've just completed Series #1.